Tonight on Coyote News, see how students can learn about other cultures without having to travel the world, and find out why people were baking pies last weekend. I'm Brent Seehofer.
And I'm Kathleen Surrey. There's a new diversity center on campus acting as both a home and a safe place for students. And learn about a new clothing store in Sioux Falls featuring USD products.
Plus, the football team's preparing for their season finale against SDSU, and the volleyball team's 17-home conference win streak is snapped. But first, the headlines with Delaney Schenk.
NBC has decided to cut a developing sitcom with Bill Cosby following sexual allegations against the comedian. 15 women have made complaints, 6 publicly, which have put Cosby in hot water. The 77-year-old hasn't denied any of the allegations. The new NBC sitcom was supposed to have aired next year. Miss World Honduras and her sister were found dead this morning. Their bodies were found in a mountainous area with bullet wounds. The sisters hadn't been heard from since last Thursday. 2 people have been arrested in connection to the deaths. Investigators say more people played a part in the deaths. And those are your headlines.
Thanks, Delaney. Many students may dream about traveling the world, but as Coyote News' Sydney Mook reports, you don't have to go too far to experience other cultures.
This week, international students have a chance to share their traditions with their peers.
International Education Week allows students to experience other cultures right here in Vermilion and has included a cultural fair and a tea tasting earlier this week.
International Education Week is a joint initiative between the U.S. State Department and the Department of Education. It promotes programs that prepare Americans for a global environment and that attracts students from around the world to study in the U.S. Global Learning Advisor Anthony Mandela says that his department believes it is important for students to be exposed to other cultures.
So we like to bring people together, we like to broaden people's horizons, and we think it's really important as well.
Ishfaq Ullah is an international student from Bangladesh. He says that events like these are important because they provide learning opportunities for students who might not be able to travel as much as he has.
That's what the world is about. The world is going toward globalization, and that means you need to know about different things, different cultures, different people.
Ullah also says that he enjoys traveling because it allows him to experience other cultures.
I love learning about different culture, and that's one of the reasons I'm here in America studying.
International Education Week will continue tonight with a free global palette dinner in the Muck Ballroom. Thursday will include Caribbean Coyotes in the Muck Pit Lounge, and events will conclude on Friday with a performance of Romeo and Juliet in the Fine Arts Building. For Coyote News, I'm Sydney Mook.
And now, Coyote News' Megan Card is live in the Muck with Political Science League Vice President Sam Ruland to talk about the International Film Series. Megan?
Thanks, Kathleen. The International Film Series is almost at an end tonight with the award-winning Indian film, The Lunchbox. Thanks for joining me here today, Sam.
Well, thanks for having me.
So how are the movies chosen for the International Film Series?
Well, first of all, the films are chosen by the Political Science Department, mainly by Professor Jepson, who is the PSL Political Science League. He's our faculty advisor, and so it's part of his job. He's part of the international part of the Political Science Department, so he chooses the films in conjunction with, say, other professors like Dr. Shorn.
And why is it important for people to watch films that necessarily aren't made in the United States?
Well, part of Political Science League's mission or objective, as you would say, is to educate individuals on how government and politics work. And since the International Film Series is part of our international outlook, Political Science League is a nonpartisan organization. So we want to educate people on how, say, government or the culture works in other parts of the world. And so it's kind of not necessarily an American point of view. We want to put people in perspective of the other cultures.
And I guess what else can people expect from the Political Science League for the next semester?
Next semester, we take our annual trip to Pier. Like I said, we do a 2-parter, national and international, so we focus on state in this next semester.
Thank you.
No problem.
That was Senior Sam Ruland from the Political Science League, which is hosting the International Film Series. The last movie in the series is tonight at 8 in Farber Hall. Live from the Muck, I'm Megan Card.
Thanks, Megan. USD's First Lady was one of the volunteers behind last weekend's Pies for Pets fundraiser. The Vermilion Hy-Vee welcomed Heartland Humane Society volunteers into its bakery to prepare dozens of apple pies. Buckets of apples were sliced on Friday, and shoppers braved Saturday's snowy weather to purchase the finished product. Colette Abbott's been on the Humane Society's board for a year. She says her love for all animals, especially dogs, made her want to do what she could to help. The pies sold for $10 each, and the funds go directly toward healthcare costs for animals surrendered to the Humane Society. Coming up, the new Diversity Center is up and running. Find out what it offers to USD students and hear what Ted Munster has to say about the state of South Dakota politics. Stay with us.
What made you pair up with the sound to show your school spirit?
Go for the up and under, and that one will fall for.
91.1 Coyote Radio.
Earlier this month, USD held the grand opening of the Center for Diversity and Community on the second floor of the MUC. As I found out, the center isn't just a group of offices, but is meant to act as a home and safe place for students. What used to house the Student Services Center is now home to 9 offices of traditionally marginalized groups on campus.
These organizations include the Union of African American Students, the International Club, the Association for the Advancement of Women's Rights, the Teoshpe Student Council, and more. Lamont Sellers is the director of the new center, and he says diversity is important because a lot of places don't look like South Dakota, and that it's essential to educate students about the different cultures and identities found throughout the world.
But we also want our students to be able to go out and be prepared for what they will meet when they go to these other places.
Students within the center now have a place to hold meetings and events. The space is also meant to continue the traditions of family, friends, and community, even though most of these students are away from home. Kamal Shah is the president of both the Muslim Student Association and the Asian American Student Association, and she says the new center will promote diversity on campus.
I think that the university will see how important it is to have the center and to kind of promote diversity on campus, and this is a huge step towards that.
Sellers says he encourages students of all races and nationalities to stop by the center and attend the upcoming events.
Tomorrow, the Muslim Student Association is hosting a potluck, and on December 10th, there will be an open house for the center featuring chocolates from around the world.
The South Dakota State Historical Society and USD's Political Science Department recently hosted a day-long conference on the state's politics. Ted Munster, Chief of Staff for the former Governor Knipe, discussed this year's elections. And while the Republicans took all seats in South Dakota, Munster says this may not be the best thing for the state.
One party runs the whole show because that party is then subject to being divided and having personality conflicts and internal fights which are not necessarily good for the public.
Munster says South Dakota hasn't always been a Republican state. He says in 1970, all 3 state senators from Rapid City were Democrats. Also speaking were Mike Freeman, Communications Director for Senator Jim Abner, and Lance Baltina, a counsel for the Senate Commerce Committee.
And in the 90 minutes we were...
The conference coincided with the release of The Plains Political Tradition, a new book about South Dakota politics.
Spectrum brought a group to campus last week that featured performers from all over the country, the Set the Night on Fire drag show. Spectrum is the Gender and Sexuality Alliance on campus, and the show is their biggest production of the semester. USD alum Martina Shakers hosted the event. The night kept students entertained with not only music and dancing, but with crowd interaction on and off the stage. The group also encouraged the audience to be anti-bullying advocates. If you'd like to join Spectrum or want more information about the group, visit their Facebook page. And on this week's blog, Abby Pierce compares USD to SDSU using an item that most students use to stay warm.
As this is the last regular newscast before the Red Report, I feel I cannot leave you without giving my valuable opinion on an important debate. What is better, mittens or gloves? Well, as for me, I'm a mitten lover and think that you should hear me out. With the Yotes playing the Jackrabbits on Saturday, I feel it is only fitting to use our rivalry with SDSU as an analogy, even if it's a little silly. I like to think of mittens as being like USD. It's warmer here, just like your hands are in mittens. We're further south and thankfully don't get hit with nearly as much snow as Brookings. I also think our campus is more condensed than SDSU's, which is like the fingers all being together and close. This benefits us because we don't have to walk quite as far through the frozen tundra as they do up north. Gloves are like SDSU. Think of the fingers to be like the buildings on campus. With the fingers separated, they get colder because much more surface area is exposed to the cold. It's science. Since they're so spread out, there's that much more space to become frozen solid. Not only are our buildings closer, but I feel like our student body is. I love our Coyote pride and can't wait to see some red filling the stands on Saturday at the football game. Make sure you bring your mittens since we're going to the cold north. For Coyote News, I'm Abby Pierce.
Thanks, Abby. Coming up after the break, USD apparel is available at another outlet. Find out where it is and how it benefits the university. And learn what senior music students prepared their entire college career for. Stay tuned. For most college students, wearing your university's apparel is common, but sometimes there's only one place on campus to buy these items. On this week's Yote Report, Nicole Griffith takes us to Sioux Falls, where a new store is providing everything USD.
Coyote fans can now purchase USD apparel and personalized merchandise at the Sioux Falls Empire Mall. The store opened its doors at the beginning of November and has seen positive feedback from alumni and fans. Joe Jamison is USD's licensing officer, and he says the store creates a walking billboard for the university.
Basically, we want to have a retail presence for alumni and fans that they are not currently receiving in Sioux Falls specifically.
Apparel ranges from crew necks and t-shirts to vests and more, including the Vault collection, which showcases the original Wile E. Coyote. The USD apparel store is seasonal and has only been open for a few weeks. You can come in and catch their daily deals along with holiday promotions. USD undergraduate applications are available, which helps in recruiting prospective students. Apparel isn't limited to just college students and adults. It's also available for children and even animals. The store is located through the main entrance to Center Court and is closing December 31st. For the Yote Report, I'm Nicole Griffith.
Items for sale aren't just limited to clothing. USD bottle openers featuring Coach Joe Glenn singing the fight song are also for sale. And now Coyote News' Megan Card is live in the muck with Director of Communications Tina Haroldson to talk more about the new store. Megan?
Thanks, Kathleen. It's been almost 3 weeks since USD opened its holiday gift store in Sioux Falls Empire Mall. Thanks for joining me here today, Tina.
Hi.
Can you let me know, I guess, why did the university decide to switch from kiosk to an actual gift store?
It was basically availability. That was a hat store that was going out, and so the mall offered it to us for the holiday season, and we said that'd be great.
So can you talk to me a little about some of the special items that's maybe only sold at the store in Sioux Falls?
The exclusive things to us are the vintage Charlie that we brought back in apparel, and we also have them on ornaments and on some other things. These were designed by our department, and eventually there'll probably be in other retailers, but for this Christmas, we're the only ones that have them.
And what does this store do to kind of expand USD's brand?
We think by being in Sioux Falls, we're in an expanding marketplace, and a lot of people come through the mall, and we just want everyone to see red and wear red and buy red for Christmas.
And so this is only a temporary store. Can you talk about that a little bit? And kind of, does USD want to go into retail aspects with this store?
You know, we really don't want to be retailers, but we feel with going Division I, we have a long way to go to get our brand and our logo out as much as other schools do. So this is just our way of kind of inspiring other retailers maybe to carry more things.
Thank you very much. That was Tina Haraldson from Marketing and University Relations on USD's new holiday store in Sioux Falls Empire Mall, which only is open through December 31st. Live from the Muck, I'm Megan Card.
Thanks, Megan. Seniors in the music department aren't only preparing for graduation, but for the grand finale of their collegiate career, their senior recital. Amanda C. Mansell performed her recital for a large crowd last Thursday night at the National Music Museum.
A senior recital is basically a performance showcasing everything that you've worked on in your time here with lessons and everything. Every music major is required to take lessons, and you work on certain pieces, and then you need to show it off. The senior recital showcases all the pieces that I've worked on the past 2 years.
Amanda was the first to perform this year. She said many other senior recitals will be held in the spring semester. For the past 5 years, seniors in the USD Theater Department have been given the opportunity to perform individual pieces in front of professional agencies in New York over spring break. After a series of auditions in front of the theater professors, a small number of students are selected to perform.
Going to showcase is all about finding pieces that just show you off, like not in like a look what I can do way, but in a this is me kind of a way.
From birth, I was taught to believe where there's a will, there's a way. But nobody wrote me into his will, so I had to find my own way.
The pieces themselves, each student gets at most 3 minutes for all their pieces combined, and so the pieces are cut down quite a bit, maybe 30 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds per piece, and they'll usually do 2 or 3 pieces, so that's the entirety of their showcase package.
It's the doors in your mind that remain locked.
To do it here, where it's safe and it's home in Midwestern, and then going to New York, where 20 other people look exactly like you and can do exactly what you can do.
All that I'm asking is one perfect moment in time.
The students will spend a total of 5 days in New York, with 3 of those spent performing and attending seminars. Students will then get a call back if the agencies select them. Coming up, volleyball is getting ready for the Summit League tournament, and hear why students should get involved in intramural sports. Stay with us.
There for you. Coyote News, Wednesday, live at 5.
Tonight on Coyote Sports, a USD runner makes school history, and the volleyball team's 17-game win conference home win streak was snapped. I'm Charlie Daldorf.
And I'm Erica Arpan. It's November, which means the basketball teams have kicked off their seasons, and hear how their first games went. Plus, commentator Grant Boziacki talks about the big football game this Saturday. But first, the headlines. Delaney?
Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson has been suspended for the rest of the season, announced by NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Peterson is suspended without pay after he was charged with child abuse against his 4-year-old son. NFL Vice President Jeff Pash says the decision was made to extend Peterson's time in the league rather than end his career. The Alabama football team jumped from 5th to 1st in the college football playoff rankings after beating previously undefeated and top-ranked Mississippi State. Oregon remained in 2nd, while Florida State is now 3rd, and the only undefeated team left in the Big Five Conference. And those are your headlines.
Junior cross-country runner Amber Eichhorn made USD history last weekend as she qualified for the NCAA Division I cross-country championships. She's the first Coyote to compete at the Division I level on the women's side. The championship race is on Saturday in Indiana. Eichhorn and 3 of her teammates were recognized by the Summit League for their academics. To be honored, runners must participate in at least half of the meets and have a GPA above 3.3. Along with Eichhorn, Brent Haas, Isaac Allen, and Katie Whiteson were recognized by the league. USD swept all 4 Summit League Swimmer and Diver of the Week awards this past week. Jacob Knowles and Sam Shett won Swimmers of the Week. Knowles placed in the top four in 3 of his races, while Shett recorded 3 first-place finishes at the border battle. Dustin Jens and Grayson Herding won Divers of the Week. Herding and Jens swept the 1 and 3 meter dives at the border battle. The teams traveled to St. Cloud State on Friday.
The football team hosted Illinois State this past weekend. The Redbirds came as the number 7 team in the FCS. USD Kevin Earl threw 2 touchdowns in the first half and ran for 2 more in the second half. And the Coyotes trailed by just 8 early in the fourth quarter. But they couldn't stop Illinois State running back Marshawn Copridge, who had 221 rushing yards and went on to lose 45-26. USD's season's finale against SDSU is the most talked about game on the schedule. Make sure to stay tuned after our newscast today to watch our Coyote vs. Jackrabbit special featuring coaches and players.
USD's volleyball team was in action against IUPUI Jaguars Sunday in preparation for the Summit League tournament. The teams fought over the win over 5 sets. Although it was a close game, IUPUI beat the Coyotes. Senior Melissa Furtko says the team is disappointed by the loss, but will take the emotion to move them forward.
We're going to use the motivation from the loss to build confidence again and push us to hopefully win the Summit League championship.
The loss puts the Coyotes in 3rd place for the final Summit League tournament standings. The defeat was the first conference loss at home for the Coyotes since 2012. They play IPFW in the first round of the conference tournament on Friday.
The men's basketball team started the season with a 60-52 loss at Utah Valley before heading out to California to play a Sweet 16 team from last season. USD lost to the Stanford Cardinals 84-73, but were led by senior Brandon Boss with 19 points. The team made 7 3-pointers in the loss and shot just 39% from the field. Coach Smith will look for his first Coyote win this weekend at the Fairfield Tournament in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The women's team started off their season with a road win over Drake, 83-78, thanks to a game-winning 3-pointer by Rachelle Contreras, who led the team with 23 points. The team lost on Sunday at Kansas, 68-60. USD had a 2-point lead with just under 4 minutes left, but Kansas made free throws down the stretch to win. Nicole Seekamp had 21 points to lead the Yotes. USD will play at Portland State tonight and at Washington tomorrow.
USD offers plenty of ways to get students involved on campus, including a variety of intramural sports. Students gathered Tuesday night for their intramural basketball game in the Wellness Center. Many teams simply play their game once a week. The season goes from late October to the end of the fall semester. Students enjoy playing in a competitive co-ed league. Intramurals are beneficial to the student body because they allow students to play sports without being on the university teams, as well as an alternative to a solitary workout routine.
I think it's a really easy way to get involved with your friends and stuff, and it's super easy. It's an hour a week. It's not a big time commitment.
Though it is recreational, there is still a competitive element to the games.
You have your regular season games and you get seeded, and then you go through playoffs, and if you lose one, you're done.
Students looking to get involved and break away from their routine can get in shape this school year by joining the next session of intramurals. The Wellness Center website provides further information on all intramural sports. The football team may be having a disappointing season record-wise, but you can throw that out the window because it's Jackrabbit Week. This week's sports commentator, Grant Boziecki, tells you what to expect on Saturday.
Welcome, Coyote Nation. I hope you're amped up and ready for the season finale, because it's time to go jackrabbit hunting. Okay, I'll back off a little bit. It's not going to be that easy. It's been a rough year for the football team, and Saturday is just another doozy on the schedule. Luckily, it's a rivalry game, and that means you never know what's going to happen. I have one bit of advice, and it's really not rocket science. Slow down Zach Zenner. Zenner's numbers speak for themselves. He has back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons. He's also ran for 301 yards in the last 2 years versus us. It's going to be a big day for our safeties because they're going to be the ones that really have to stop Zenner from hitting the home runs. With that being said, I'll leave you with a final word from our head coach, Joe Glenn.
In the last 2 years, the Jackrabbits have been all over the Coyotes. Maybe we closed the gap a little bit last year in the Dome, but this Saturday at 2 o'clock in Brookings, every Coyote supporter, every Coyote fan, every Coyote student that can get there, come help and cheer the Coyotes on to victory.
You heard it, Coyote fans. It's up to you to cheer on the good guys. For Coyote Sports, I'm Grant Boziacki.
Thanks, Grant. Coming up after the break, find out why students come to USD and what they think it means to be a Coyote. Stay tuned.
Spain is known for many things. It's food, it's dancing, it's bullfighting, and fiesta.
Sometimes the classroom just isn't enough.
Step outside the classroom. Experience what it's like to go snorkeling in the Atlantic or ride a camel in Morocco. With the Global Learning Program at USD, you can earn credits taking the trip of a lifetime overseas. Experience what you're missing. Experience global learning.
In the final segment of our What It Means to Be a Coyote series, student ambassadors in the admissions office tell us what it means to them to be a Coyote.
USD has become home to many students, but how did we all become Coyotes? At the Belva Center, student ambassadors and admissions counselors know what it means to be a Coyote. It's their job to guide prospective students on tours and show them Yote life at its finest. Student ambassadors Diego Marquez and Cassandra Keller came to USD because of ambassadors before them.
The tour is what really sold me. It feels like home on campus. I felt very welcome.
My tour was the thing that really pushed me to come to USD, and they really made me love USD.
Marquez wanted to be an ambassador so he could share his passion for USD.
I'm crazy about the Yotes. I love USD, so I just have to be really pumped all the time about the Yotes and what it means to be a Coyote. It's like you just, you go for it.
The admission crew recruited everyone to be a Yote, and like Keller, said the school works for you.
Oh, it's so easy to get involved, and people are just gonna love you when you come here just because you're a Coyote.
So get out and enjoy the campus that admissions convinced you would make a good home. Find your passion for Yotes and always remember what it means to be a Coyote.
For some students, finding a college that fits them depends on class sizes, cost, and availability of specific majors.
On this week's Out and About, we asked students why they decided to become a Coyote.
I don't know. That's a rough question.
I don't know. My sister always liked it, so when I came here.
After I saw the campus, I just kind of decided to come up here because it's a lovely town, lovely campus, good classes too.
Well, my dad was a Coyote, and it's close to home, so I came here.
It had a lot of the programs I wanted to join in, like med school, and the biology program I heard was great, and it's close to home.
My sister had just graduated from here last year, and she had some good experiences here at USD, and it seemed like the best choice for me.
Lycanthropy.
I live here in town and born and raised with the university atmosphere, and it's like a second home, so why not come?
Well, I came here to play football. I'm on a scholarship here, and the reason that I came was because of Coach Glenn, head football coach, and the campus is pretty wonderful.
I love the university. I love the area. Everything here is very nice and it's very community oriented, and I'm from a small town.
The student ratio here is phenomenal.
Pick up a new edition of The Volant today. Read about the in-state rivalry between USD and SDSU, plus stories on the push for the no-fault divorce law, and available resources for poverty in Vermilion. That's all for Coyote News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Stay tuned for the Cross Media Council's Coyotes vs. Jackrabbits pregame special, featuring USD football players, coaches, and reporters coming up next.
Have a great night. We'll see you after the Thanksgiving break for the Red Report.